Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is Jake. You can also call me Atrocious, and today we've got the top 4 match of the Osaka, Japan OP06 championships upon us. Now, before we get into the actual match, here's the deck distribution of the top 4. 2 Katakuris and 1 Sakazuki, and then 1 Yamato. The Sakazukis, after starting off in the top 32 with 17 players piloting the archetype, only 1 remains. Katakuri having an insanely good conversion rate for this event, looking to be very, very strong in taking this tournament, but we'll see. We also did our own unique commentary of the top 32, top 16, and top 8 matches, which you can find on the YouTube channel through the iCard up top. I've got a whole playlist of this championship, as well as another playlist of the entire commentary stuff that I've done in terms of the One Piece trading card game that you can go check out. But before I go any further, I just want to clarify that this is not my content. I am watching this back on YouTube, watching the top 4 and top finals match, and so if you want to watch the actual stream and not hear me talk, link will be in the description below as always. But let's get into this game. Players shuffling this up. I recognize this player. We've seen him before on the streams. I believe he's a Katakuri guy, so I mean, you all know what the matchup is because of the thumbnail and the title, but I don't know as I'm recording this. But I think this is, at least the player on the left is playing Katakuri. I do remember his face. I don't know who he is or his name. And so it is going to be a Katakuri mirror match. So doing the rock, paper, scissors, looks like player on the left won. I would imagine that player on the left is going to go second, right? Because as Katakuri, especially in the mirror match, oh, they decided to go first. Okay, maybe prioritizing stuff like the Gadatsu, the 7-drop Big Mom. Very, very interesting in my opinion. I always thought that Katakuri would want to go like second in the mirror match, but opting to go first. And so looking at the player's hand, player on the right has a 7-draw Mom, Capone, Beijing, 200 million Voltamaru, Gadatsu, and a Lost Impact. So pretty alright starting hand. I mean, turn 1 and 2, you're not really doing too much outside of maybe a top deck pudding. So, but you do have some decent setup for later in there after the first couple turns with like the Lost Impact and the Gadatsu and stuff. The player on the left has a Satori, Sanji, Gadatsu, a 7-drop, and a 10-drop Big Mom. So I know the player on the left did end up taking a mulligan, so this was their forced starting hand, as I like to say, and so that's not terrible. It could be worse. You do, going first on your third turn, have the opportunity to play the Sanji, but you could also play the Gadatsu, which is nice. The Gadatsu will be nice in taking out a character because you'll probably Gadatsu one, swing at another that the opposing Katakuri on the left will play, but also if you wanted to go a little bit more defensive, you could put down that Sanji and then swing 7k with leaders. So going first now, player on the left is going to use their Dawn and pass. Player on the right is going to go drawing a Gadatsu. So they are going to do the same exact thing. So now going into the turns where they can swing, the Perospero is top decked for the player on the left, and that's a pretty good card. I would imagine that they would want to play that. So swinging 5, not getting any of the extra boost, just trying to get it either a card or a life right here, and going to be pitching one of their 2 Gadatsu. So player on the left now resting 3 Dawn, putting that Perospero down and saying, okay, if you ever Gadatsu it or pop it or whatever with a Lost Impact, I'm at least going to be able to search some cards, still get some value out of that. So with 4 Dawn now, going to be attaching 1 to leader and swinging 7 at lead, going to be peeking at that top life. It is a Capone Beijing, so there's kind of a question of whether or not you want to leave it on top or bottom. I would leave it on top personally, and so that way the effect of Capone Beijing is not going to hit you, and so going to be resting 3 as they have a Perospero of their own hit the field. So a mirrored match, as one could say. The player on the right striking first at the life, pulling a 10-drop Big Mom. Very, very good later in the game, but you got to do stuff before then. So thinking about what they want to do, it wouldn't surprise me to see a 5 swing right here, 7 swing Perospero, put down a Sanji, and so they are going to swing the Perospero, hit the life, get a Charlotte, a Monde, nice 2k counter in hand, and going to be opting for the Katakuri swing, so not getting the boost, probably going to be playing down this Gadatsu, just valuing a little bit more of the board control, not caring so much about the draw that this player is going to get, so playing down the Gadatsu like I mentioned, popping that Perospero. Player on the right going to be looking at the 3 cards, finds a pudding in there, which is nice. The pudding is what they're going to grab, bottom decking the rest. We did see that Okiku and a Kapo Beije. So going to be thinking about how they want to play this turn. It wouldn't surprise me if they played the pudding down first, now that they're going to be at 6 Dawn. You could do 6 Dawn on one and do a Gadatsu yourself, really. You can't Gadatsu the Gadatsu, but you can Gadatsu the Perospero. So thinking about how they want to do this, remembering that they got to put out the Dawn. And so thinking about what they want to do, swinging 7 now, and it looks like it's going to be at... or it may be at life, I'm not sure, but the next life for the player on the left is going to be a Sanji, so that Sanji blocker would come down, probably trashing one of the big moms, and so player on the right is saying, okay, you know what, put that at the bottom of the life, please, and so going to be swinging that 7k at life, taking a hit, and it's a Charlotte pudding of their own for the left side, and so the right side is going to continue using the Gadatsu and popping that Perospero, and so Perospero ability activates. There's a pudding, a 7-drop, and a 10-drop big mom. So really curious about what you want to get here. You already have, I think, 2 10-drop big moms in hand. You do already have 1 7-drop, and so going to just be adding a 7-drop. Hand is cluttered with 4 Charlotte Linlin cards, so going to be interesting to see how this plays out. This is the match to go into the final. So Pasukaru, I think is the player on the left's name, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and then Kuta on the right. So player on the left is going to be swinging with Gadatsu first, trying to get at life here, and going to be a 2k counter out of the Capone Beije, and so Katakuri now swinging 7, probably going to be playing that 7-drop Linlin at this rate. So the 5 here is going to go in on the 7 Dawn turn. Player on the right is thinking about ditching Okiku or Charlotte Pudding, one of the two, and it looks like it's going to be Pudding. And so here comes the Linlin, going to be a decision of what life to gain or lose, and it's going to be lose on the right side. So life now evened up. The Okiku hits the trash, and we move into the 8 Dawn turn for the Katakuri. Now, they do have a 7-drop Linlin of their own, so you could swing Gadatsu, attach 1 swing 7 with Katakuri, and then just lay down your own Linlin. So it'll be interesting to see where this Gadatsu goes. It could be at life or leader. It looks like it was at leader because there was a 2k counter, because Gadatsu is a 6k body, so that would make sense. And going to first be putting down the Charlotte Linlin. Very interesting that you play that first instead of swinging. A little bit different than the player on the left. So going to gain a life through that effect. The player on the left saying, okay, take 1, and then swinging 7 to kind of round out their turn. There is a pudding in the life. The player on the whatchamacallit, the right, is just really getting a great idea of everything in the player on the left's life. So thinking about whether or not they want to save here, that Charlotte Pudding could help them out in finding some pieces, and so it looks like it's going to be a Satori and a Pudding counter. So it looks like that leader swing was at life because they countered up to 8k, and now we move into the next turn. 3 life on the left, 4 on the right. There is a 200 million volts Amaru. I wonder how impactful the Sanji is in this matchup because of a card like 200 million volts Amaru, right? When you're in the mirror match, do you just want to get multiple Sanjis down and only multiple Sanjis? Or do you just not put them down and kind of avoid that? So it's interesting to note. So the Charlotte Linlin is going to lead off first, taking out that Gadatsu. And so thinking about just playing the other Charlotte Linlin that they have now, 7-drop, going to be putting that down, and the opponent choosing once again, going to be trashing one of their life. That's a 10-drop Big Mom. That's huge. That's huge to discard the Katakuri, not having any 10-drop Big Moms, advantage in that aspect to the player on the left. So the player on the left is going to be swinging 7 now, and it looks like that life is going to be a Sanji blocker. So if the, and it looks like the consistency is the same between the two players, with putting that Sanji at the bottom, and so taking that 7k swing, it's going to be a 200 million volts Amaru, so not opting to use the trigger, just going to keep that in hand for later, and the Gadatsu is going to get 1 done and swing 7, so that life going to be a 10-drop Big Mom, so 2 10-drop Big Moms in life, 1 from the 7-drop Linlin and 1 from their life just overall, and top decking another one. That means in like 4 cards that the player on the right had in their deck, there were 3 10-drop Big Moms. The odds of that happening are absurd, and now the game is swayed to a different level now simply because of that. But I think you do have to factor in, though, that the board states between the two players is a big deal. So that Linlin swinging at the Gadatsu and taking that out, and the Katakuri leader swinging, probably want to counter out of this because that's a pretty key indicator that there is a 10-drop Big Mom coming, and so that is going to hit, trashing the Charlotte pudding that they left on top and putting a new life on their side at the bottom. So if I had to take a guess, we'll get another 10-drop Charlotte Linlin. We'll just get these 2 Charlotte Linlins on the left side battling the rested one on the right, and yeah, and then we'll get a 10-drop Big Mom. That's what I imagine would happen in this. You try to, do it. You try to do it twice to either bait cards or get that character to pass. I would imagine if the player on the left swung with the Linlin, 7-drop Linlin, to the rested Linlin, they'll counter out of the first one. Oh, but it looks like they were swinging at life. Okay. Going to get a Satori, but opting not to put the Satori down is interesting. They don't have a ton of counter in their hand because they have a ton of events, so maybe this is just a counter buildup that they're trying to do at this point. So going to be thinking about what else they want to do in this turn. I would imagine that you try to get rid of the Linlin on the right side, right? And so playing that 10-drop Big Mom, going to be putting that life up top. It is now 3-0. Going to start off by swinging 5 at the leader, and I actually kind of like this play. You get the leader to swing first because you don't want to lose, and it looks like they were just going for game the whole time. So actually the Linlin went for life there, and the Katakuri player on the left, we've seen him before in this tournament, a consistent player in OP06. He ends up taking that win and advancing to the finals. How to know that I don't play Katakuri, because I'm like, oh yeah, go for this Linlin, and the guy's like, no, not the Linlin, I'm gonna go for game instead. So awesome match between those two players. Really interesting to see the Katakuri mirror match and how it kind of swayed at times. And thank you again so much for watching. If you made it this far, check out the other videos that we've got on the channel, especially commentary ones, and thank you also for the excellent broadcasts that we've been watching and using for these videos. Remember, I'm not making any money off of this because I don't own the rights to this, and the link of the official stream will be in the description below. But thank you again so much. Hopefully I'll see you in the next one, and yeah, have a great rest of the day.